And now we have a session from two people in Croatia who are going to tell us about a wonderful Croatian author and how she has used folklore in her novels. So please take it away. Go ahead. Please introduce yourself fully. Tell us about your work and lead the session.
Thank you, Eric. I will start and then present myself, and then Elizabeta will do, and then I will do the first part telling you about Ivana's life. So my name is Marijana Mrvos. I come, as Eric mentioned, from Croatia. I love telling, I love stories. I'm a storyteller, writer, poet, and also when I'm not doing all the artistic sides of my life, I work in supply chain management. So kind of combine both worlds into my life. For few years I've been a part of the festival, and as I mentioned earlier, I just wanted to share with you the life of this wonderful woman, and that's why we are here. I'm grateful to Eric that he accepted our proposal. So we will continue with that, and I ask Elizabeta to tell a few words about herself.
Hello, my name is Elizabeta Alkovic, and I'm also from Croatia, like Marijana. And I'm storyteller because I really enjoy stories and listen to stories and sharing stories, everything about stories, about myths, legends, and higher purposes. And I'm also a practitioner of expressive art therapy, and I use that in my work field because in everyday life I'm also a teacher, and I work in a high school. I teaching mental health and psychiatry, and I was a nurse for 20 years, and I work in a hospital also. But my biggest love is story and storytelling. I'm very honored to be here today, and what I want to share with you in the beginning is that nothing is everything is exactly what have to be, because the city where I was born and lived for most of my life, for 40 years, was Slavonski Brod, where Ivana, our author, our amazing woman, was living. And Marijana was born in a city where also Ivana was born, in Ogulin. And this beautiful woman, this amazing woman, connect us, Marijana and me also. We are friends, but we are friends also through Ivana's work. Okay, thank you. And I give it space to Marijana further.
Thank you, Elizabeta, for adding this, because now you know that me and Elizabeta bring you the roots of where Ivana started her life and what she experienced in her childhood. And then later, as a married woman and as a wife and a mother, she lived most of her life in Slavonski Brod. That's also what was part of her stories and how she created them. So, dear friends, dear lovers of the stories, dear participants of this beautiful festival, let us go to this journey, and we go long, like 150 years ago. And it was in April, and it was still kind of between the beginning of the spring, and it was the 18th day of April when Ivana was born. She was the first child in that family, and her father, he was a state attorney, and her mother came from a merchant family. So they were quite better than the rest of this society, where you can imagine little houses and mud and people working hard, mostly doing farm work. So they lived in the really nice house on the main street. So there's a little bit of difference where she grew up, because at that time, most of it, the year was 1874. So at that time, the most of maybe 90% of the people around the society were illiterate. But nevertheless, her life was not also easy. They moved a lot because of her father's work. Then she got a sister and two brothers. And at age of 8, her family moved to the capital, what is then it was not a capital town, but it was like the center of political, economical, and cultural life of this region. At that time, we were not the country, we were still under the region of the Austro-Hungarian, rulership. So that was a chance for Ivana to have a close, she lived close to her grandfather, and her grandfather, Ivan Mazuranic, was a really great figure of that time, but also the figure that lives in our life today. And I will tell you why. That man, he was a lawyer, he was a writer, a poet, he was a linguist, and he spent 30 years of his life in politics. And he was really, he was the first kind of leader of the region that came from people. So that's the grandfather that Ivana looked up to his achievements, and he was responsible introducing a public free schooling in this region. So my grandparents from the both sides were able to go to school, not to stay illiterate, and maybe they helped me to, to be able now to tell you these stories about Ivana and the grandfather. So when Ivana was in Zagreb, she was really looking up to her grandfather, who was a strong man and very energetic. So that's the reason she loved sports. She loved activities. She took ice skating. She was a good gymnast. She was always on the move, and they loved the math and astronomy. So any possibility during summertime, when they were going on a summer country house, she would enjoy with her siblings, and they would look at the stars, and that's how she enjoyed her life. And also, when she became a teenager, she was writing before, at a very young age, maybe 8 and 9, when she wrote some poems in Croatian and also in foreign language, because she was home studied on many different languages, French, German, English, because that's the family that she lived in, and she was surrounded with books and with knowledge. And then during her teenage age, she was really keeping the diaries, and all the scholars who worked on her work went through the diaries to better understand when Ivana was a young girl and a young teenager, what was happening in her life and how that interfered later in her writing. So even though everything seems to be fine, she was still a girl at the end of 19th century, and she was mostly prepared to be a wife and a mother. So she married on her 18th birthday, and she moved to what was then Brod on Savi, or Slavonski Brod now. So she moved into her husband's house. They were also wealthy family. Her husband was a lawyer and a politician, and at that very young age, she had to take care of the whole household. She was the only woman in the house, so she had to take care of everything. She had to really She was responsible for the kitchen, for the housekeeping. She had the help, but still, there was so many obligations on her shoulders. And then the children came. She gave birth to 7 children, and 5 of them stayed alive, like 2 died at really young age. So for 10 days, she was married in 1892. For 10 years, she was really, focused on her family, of being mother, of being wife. Not just that, she was a part of the society. She held events, she participated in events, she organized them. She was really always in the move. Whenever she had a chance, she was swimming in the river Sava. She was the first woman in Brod who got a bicycle, and she was cycling. And then they had a summer house on the hills behind the city where they spent their summer. So they had a vineyard, and you had to take care of the crops and everything. So she was really, really busy woman. And then we are asking ourselves, how she really managed to find the time to write. But Ivana really kept writing letters to her mother and father. Maybe on a daily basis, she wrote letters, and she responded to the letters from her family. She asked her mother for the recipes and the advices how to, manage and conduct some events, because she was really part of that cultural and political society of that time, at the top of it. And then she even wrote in some letters to her mom that she takes like 50 to half hour whenever she can to write. And that was really good for all of us, because in 1902, she published the first collection. But now I remembered. Eric, could you please show us picture 1 and 2, please?
Yes, I'm getting it here. I'm
Okay.
going on to screen share.
Thank you. So we want to show you how she looked as a young girl. Maybe she was like 6 years old there. So you can imagine her. And then on the next picture, we have that's her husband, Vatroslav. And here we have the portraits of Ivana and her grandfather, so that you can experience a bit of it. I think the further picture is the furniture of their house. Now you can see a bits of pieces where Ivana lived in Brod. That house is still now there is a museum of Ivana's museum in Slavonski Brod. It's the very same house. And if you come to Slavonski Brod, and you're all invited, so you can walk through these rooms, and then you can maybe even touch the things that she had in her everyday life. So I think the next picture is, I'm not sure. Okay, this is okay, maybe you could also see that Ivana was very feminine, and she loved fashion. She had 5 daughters, so she had to she had to take care of her fashion on daily basis. When the girls grow up, they needed new dresses and everything. And this picture was taken in Zagreb, like in 1930. It was like 8 years before she died, and she all the time she kept a really nice figure. So she herself said that she loved to dress nicely, but maybe you can see a little bit how she looked at that time as the mother and the wife and the great author, actually. So as I mentioned okay, you can stop here. This is like, we will mention these a little bit later. Okay, thank you, Eric. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. So, as I said, she self-published her first collection of novels and poetry in 902. That's how this started. And later they published her work, and one of the first and still the first Croatian children novel that she wrote, and it's still alive and still popular, translated to many languages. It's called The Brave Advantage of Flapić. So that book was translated to many languages, and there is a story that she wrote that novel for her nephew, so that he inspired herself. And then we come to the crown of her work, that is a collection of 8 fairy tales under the name of Croatian Tales of Long Ago. That's really the best she gave us of her work, and we are really happy to have that. She published it in 1916 in Croatia. First publication in English was in 1926. And when they published in English language, the foreign critics, they gave her the name of Croatian Anderson. So now you can compare how her work was really influential, and really there is so much of magic and everything, especially the language that she uses, the Croatian language, and we will give you the chance to experience a bit of that language. And then the last of her work was published in 1943. But, you know, she kept writing and corresponding with the authors like Kipling, and she loved Tolstoy, and she was really, really active. She was corresponding with, she was reading newspapers in different languages. And then if we go back with what she was really kept into the everyday life, she still continued to providing these beautiful stories, having a time to write and to share what she really had in herself. So Ivana died in 1983, as I mentioned before. She was nominated for, she was a Nobel Prize nominee several times. And she was the first woman who was accepted to the Croatian, to the Yugoslavian then Academy of Science and Art. So this is just a brief description of her work. It's really hard to tell you because we want to cover everything and still have time for you to participate. So, as I mentioned, the Croatian Tales of Long Ago, they have 8 beautiful fairy tales, and we would like, so when she was researching when she was working on these fairy tales, she was researching and taking the information, not just from daily life, but also from the oral tradition, from the folklore, and from the Slavic mythology. And there are the records that at that time she was researching from the book of the Alexander Afanassiev, who was a Russian scholar, and he collected almost 600 East Slavic and Russian folk tales and fairy tales. And then she also consulted with some Croatian authors and with some authors from Slovakia. And the Slavic mythology, before the Slavs were Christianized in till the end of 12th century, there is that tradition of being connected with the nature and finding the strength from the nature, from the sea, from the forest, from the oak trees, which sometimes would be called secret, and from the one god, which the Slavs called Svarog. And we actually still have bits and pieces of that mythology under the Christian names still living today. And that's what really inspired Ivana As she mentioned in her work, she was reading, and then she would take the names and the characters, and then she would give life to those names and the characters. It was completely her own work, but still connected and rooted what she was reading. And the first story that she wrote was the story of the Stribor's Forest, or Šuma Striborova in Croatian language. And the idea is that I tell you briefly about the story, and then we will do the storytelling part. Elizabeta will do the storytelling part in Croatian, because this is a short sentence, so it's not going to take us a lot of time. And then I will give you a translation. Is that okay with you? Okay, because we want you to hear the language, and Ivana Elizabeta is really good with this story. That's, I think, story that she really loves the most from this collection, and she told it so many times, and I think you will have this special treatment. And we just want you, when she starts telling, to open your hearts and to open, just sit comfortably and just be open and try to notice what is happening in your body when she tells you, when you hear the words that you don't really understand, but which energy she's providing to you, I think. And then based on that, we would love to do some activities with you. So I think it will finally go on. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. It's just, I'm just don't want to, I'm not sure if I'm up to Ivana, because she's a great author and I don't want to miss anything to tell how great she is. So Stribor's forest is enchanted forest. It's not just any forest. Many beings live there. Some of them live there for their sins, and they are trapped there. And then we have a young boy who comes to cut the wood, and he is not aware of anything. And then he meets the snake. That's not really the snake. That was a soul trapped into the snake. And that soul knows that it's actually a female. She knows that she can get away from the forest through this boy. So she transported a beautiful young girl, but still keeping the serpent tongue, because she was too fast in transformation. That part did not transform. And then she becomes a bride. The young man takes her home, and where he lives with his old mother. And the really old woman, she knows what that young girl is. She wants to tell her son that, but he gets really he's hurt and doesn't want to accept the truth. And life goes on. It's not very easy life for the old woman, and it comes to that point that she has to leave the house. And it was, if you can imagine, it was winter evening, very cold. She takes just a piece of bread with herself, and she is embarrassed from the whole village that she has to leave the house, that her son, what is the son that she actually raised, the son that completely transformed. And that's how she walks to nowhere, having nothing, and then she brings some kindling wood that she prior in the story got from a really beautiful girl, very poor but beautiful girl. She gives that kindling, and when you start to fire, a little creature, like a little man, not bigger than a thumb, come out of the fire, and they sparkle, and they dance and they laugh, but they also know how to listen, and they already helped the old lady, and now they are helping her too. So now you will hear the rest of okay, they help her. They told her, don't worry, you old mother, don't worry, we will take you to the Stribor and he will help solve your problem. And now we will hear, and you might ask how they travel to that forest. So the old lady travels on the deer, and it's not any deer. It has the beautiful antlers with the stars. Can you imagine how beautifully that looks? And these little creatures called domachi or brownies in English translation, they hop on the 12 squirrels and they're on their way to Stribor's forest. And now that forest is so huge that in the big oak tree there are 7 castles. Can you imagine 7 castles and how big that tree is? And there is a village, and the Stribor, who is the head of the forest, he's dressed beautifully all in red, and he sees the deer and the squirrels coming to his castle, and now here they are. And Elizabeta will take us further when she finishes. I will just shortly give you information what was happening later. And just please sit comfortably, open your hearts and listen. And feel what, notice what you feel in your body.
I tako kroz noć donese jelen baku pred Stribora. A Stribor bjaše šumski starješina, koji je sjedio na sred šume u jednom velikom dubu, a u tom dubu nalazilo se 7 dvorova, a 8. selo s srebrnom ogradicom ograđeno. Dođeše domaći sa bakom zajedno i ispripovjedaše Striboru što se baki dogodilo. A Stribor bijaše mudar šumski starješina i od njega su svi tražili dobroga savjeta. Stribor je dobro poslušao domaće, saslušao ih je i pogledao baku i rekao je: ma ne boj se, starice, ja ću ti pomoći. Pogledaj tamo ono selo s srebrnom ogradicom ograđeno. A baka, kad je ugledala selo s srebrnom ogradicom ograđeno, prepozna da je to njeno rodno selo u kojem je ona mladovala i ljubovala. Viju se zastave, veselje, ma dan je vjenčanja. Baka sva sretna potrči prema ogradici i prema selu i zastade kod ogradice. A Stribor joj reče: ma uđi, bako, ne boj se, uđi. Pljesni samo dlanom o dlan i čim pljesneš rukama dlan o dlan, odmah ćeš se pomladiti. Samo uđi kroz ogradicu i bit ćeš mlađa 50 godina. A baka, sva sretna, uhvati se za ogradicu. Ali u tom trenutku zastade i prođe joj kroz glavu misao. Pogleda oko sebe i upita Stribora: a što će biti s mojim sinom? A Stribor joj kaže: ma bako, kakav sin? Ma prođi kroz tu ogradicu i pomladit ćeš se. Ma nećeš se ni sjećati da si sina imala. On će ostati u ovom vremenu zarobljen, a ti ćeš živjeti novi život. A baka, čuvši to, odstupi od ogradice, nakloni se cijelim tijelom Striboru, zahvali mu se na pomoći, ali reče mu: Hvala ti, Stribore, od sveg srca što mi želiš pomoći. Ali draže je meni ostati u mojoj nevolji, a sina da znam da imam, nego li da mi daješ sva blaga ovoga svijeta. Tog trenutka, kako baka izgovori tu rečenicu, zanjiše se sva šuma oko bake. U taj tren nesta čarolije u šumi Striborovoj. Pobježe guja i sakri se ispod duba. Nestade Stribora i domaći. Nestade dvorova i sela s srebrnom ogradicom ograđen. Ostadoše na sred ledine sami sin i baka. Sin očajan kleknu pred majku tražeći oprost od nje. Bog mu je oprostio, a majka mu ni zamjerila nije. Zagrli sin majku i njih dvoje zajedno vratiše se kući. Nakon nekog vremena sin se oženio onom djevojkom što im je dovela domaćem kuću. A mali Tintilinić još uvijek u zimske noći posjećuje ih pokraj njihovog kućnog ognjišta. Čiča miča, gotova je priča. That was the story. Marijana, please, can you translate?
Okay, that was the story. But before I give you, what to reveal the truth, does anybody want to share something? How you felt while she was telling? Anything, just I can see, 100 hearts from Vina. Okay. Okay.
I think we are honored, or we are so lucky that we can hear another language all the way from somewhere, and it brings a different perspective to this entire storytelling festival. At times, of course, Elizabeta, how do you say your name, Elizabeta? You could see that the voice modulations, there was some excitement in it, and other times she was very soothing. I tried to close my eyes actually so that I hear the other sense, only the ears would listen. So thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear another language. Thank you.
Please, Kim.
Ansu
And
from Korea. Thank you so much. Croatia, we call it Croatia.
Okay.
I never met even the two storytellers from Croatia, so thank you so much. But my guess, when I heard Elizabeta, I thought maybe the brownie took the old mother to the big oak tree, and there she met a very wise captain or some wise man, and he gave her some advice how to took away from your son the bad serpent or snake woman.
Yes.
So
Yes.
she heard that, and she came, and she finally did that, and make the problem solved. Like that, I guessed.
Thank you, Anna Sok. So, okay.
Shraddha?
Okay.
Yeah, I just very quickly, I've never heard Croatian being spoken before, but it was quite an emotional roller coaster, Elizabeta, the way you took us through. So it was very, very exciting in parts and very soothing in parts, like Veena said. But I'm amazed at Ansu Kim that she was able to derive so much. I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear the story, and yeah.
She was very close. You will see.
So, so, so that's the magic of when you involve all your senses into the telling, and Anasok was really, really close to how the story reveals itself. And she really pictured it well and read from the energy of the telling. And really, the Domaci or brownies took mother to the Stribor, who is the head of the forest. And Domaci tell the Stribor what is the problem. And they ask him, can he help the old mother? Because she is homeless now, no place to go. She left everything, and it's winter time, and there has to be something done. And Domaci really wanted to help her. And then the mother stands in front of Stribor, and she tells him what was happening in her life, those problems that the soul from the forest that transformed it into the snake did in her life. And the Stribor said, yes, I know that being really escaped before her time. And then he told her, okay, I listened, and I have the solution for your problem. If you see that village among the 7 castles, that there was a village, please go there, everything will be fine. And you just have to open the silver gates. When you open the gates, you enter, you just do this, and you will be young again. And the old woman, she really loved that. She came close to the village, and she heard the music and the dancing. There was a wedding, and that was her birth village. Everybody, he looked at them, they were young, and then she put the hand on the gate, she opened it, and she almost entered. And then she remembered something. And what about my son? What will happen with my son? So she looks back to Stribor and said, sorry, you Lord, what will happen with my son? And he said, oh, foolish woman, forget about your son. He will stay in this time, and you, when you clap your hands, you will go back like 50 years. You will be young again. You will not even remember your son, that you have a son. But the old mother, I believe, as all mothers here know, she loved her son so much, she couldn't do that. She said, no, I'm really grateful for giving me this opportunity, and thank you very much, but I would rather stay miserable than forget my son. And that was what broke the spell of the forest. And as she said that sentence, the huge, tree with all the castle, they sunk underneath. And then the daughter-in-law that followed her with her son on the journey to the forest, she transformed into the snake, and she disappeared through the hole that was still there into the ground. So there was no enchanted forest. Everything was gone. And the mother, she looked on her right, and there was her son on the knees. He finally realized what he has done. So he asked her mother for forgiveness, and he took her into his hands, and they were back home. And that's the actually end of the story, most or less. Thank you very much. So, Eric, we would need your help now.
Okay.
Our idea is that we reflect on the story, on what you heard about Ivana, on what you heard in Stribor's forest, and you, if you have any we believe that brownies, domaci, they have or other characters in the story, and especially our author Ivana, they have that kind of power at this moment where we meet in this time, that they can help us with some problem issue. Maybe we want to share something nice. So I suggest that we go into maybe two breakout rooms for two, and then one chooses, what he wants to share, his problem, and he chooses the character, and the other person listens and tries to be into the character and provides whatever it is. Maybe it's silence, maybe it's some suggestion. Okay. So that's the idea, what we would do as an activity.
Well,
I add
let me
something.
go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
I want to add something for explaining better for your activities. You can choose a character from story, whom you speak to, your situation, what is in this moment, what you want to share. Is it a problem? Is it a situation? Whatever in this moment. And you can choose character from story. Maybe Stribor, maybe old mother, maybe domaci, brownies, maybe author Ivana, because there are so many archetypes in these characters. And you can free yourself and please believe in process and free yourself and choose what you feel in your body right now. And you can share with character, And if you are in pairs, your pair will tell you what feel and share with you some advice or something that you do, whatever comes. Okay.
Well, there's 17 people in this session now.
Okay, maybe
But-
there could
but
be more people.
Let me finish.
Mhm.
There's 7 people in the session, but only 7 of us have our cameras on.
Okay.
So the other 10 people who have their cameras off, I hesitate to put them in a breakout room because we don't even know if they're there. They may be in the kitchen making coffee.
Okay.
So another option would be to invite people just to write for a few minutes
Okay.
on a paper and notebook. And even the people who have their cameras turned off, they could do that. And
Okay.
then after people write for a few minutes, then perhaps we could do some sharing about that,
Yes.
including role play. You said maybe you would writing like talking to the characters, talking to the brownie. So what do you think about that? Is that a possible alternative to the breakout rooms right now? To just invite people to write about something? Go ahead.
This is good suggestion. When participants finished writing, then they can tell which character they wanted to speak, and the person who feels that character in her body can speak with that person.
Good. So we can just do it here.
Yes, we
yes.
can do it here, and maybe we could we could take 10 minutes for writing, or is that too much? 5 minutes?
Okay, between 5 and 10. And forgive me, I was doing some administrative work. Can you just give me a quick review of the story again?
Okay, the quick review of the story. So there is an enchanted forest, and the young man comes to the forest to cut the wood. And he's not aware of what is happening in the forest, and he meets, he meets a being that was trapped in the forest in the form of the snake. And that being realizes this is the young man that will help me to leave this forest. And she transforms into the beautiful young woman. And he's so mesmerized with her beauty, he takes her home, and she becomes his wife. And at home, she lives with mother. And mother realizes immediately that this is not a normal woman. That's a woman with snake characters. And then the troubles into the house, the household begin. The daughter-in-law, she's really difficult. She has a different things that she asks mother to do, really the tasks that are really, really hard. And the old mother, she even manages, with the help of the brownies, to show the whole village her true nature, that she is a serpent being. But the son at that moment gets so mad at his mother that he orders her to leave the house. And then she's on her way she leaves the house, and she meets the brownies again because she creates the fire. And then they took her to the Sribors forest for a solution. And he provides a solution, but for mother to go to her young age and completely forget about her son and her life. But she cannot take that because she loves her son so much. And when she speaks those words aloud, the whole forest is gone. Everything disappears. The spell is broken. And her son, he comes, he was following mother, and he comes to mother and asks her to forgive him for being so difficult, for not being able to see, and they continue living together. He gets married later, and that's kind of briefly the story.
What happens to his wife, who was the snake?
When the spell was broken, she transformed back into the snake, and the whole forest, the oak tree, the huge oak tree, it sunk into the ground, and she was gone into the ground.
Oh, very interesting. So this is using a lot of Croatian folklore.
Yes.
Yeah. This is very different from what I hear in India. From what I hear in India from Indian women is that the daughter-in-law, when she comes into her mother-in-law's house, the daughter-in-law has no power. The mother-in-law is the total boss.
It depends here. There is you have daughters-in-law who really are bossy, and then you have the mothers who are really bossy. So.
But here it comes our folklore and our culture, because here in Croatia we have such a powerful patriarchal society. That's why old mother was so warm and so protective about her son, and she wasn't bossy. Because in Croatia here, mothers are always in support team, never in bossy team.
Oh no, what I hear in India that from women, they say my husband is always on his mother's side and he never supports me. But
yes, it's true.
In this story, the son is more supportive of the well, he changes.
Yes, son is very naive here in this story, like
he's
naive
enchanted.
person. Yes, some kind, enchanted with woman's beauty, girl's beautiness,
Okay,
and he was lonely. And the son was lonely. That's why also.
Okay, and so
May
the
I
lady snake, for some time she had the power, but then she lost it. When the mother went to nature and appealed to nature, nature supported her.
Yes, yes.
On
There
Suk,
comes transformation.
on Suk, and then Vina.
Hmm. So, Elisabetta and Mariana, what you asked us to do in a separated room, at first, you want our own problem we reveal through the character, or we talk about the characters. So, what do you want us to do?
Okay.
My suggestion is that
We want
you ask us to write about something for a few minutes, and then we'll act it out and share it here in the main room. So yeah, so what should we write about?
you can write about what you want in this moment, what you feel that you want to share with some character from the story, maybe some situation, maybe some feeling, maybe some relationship, maybe some problem. What comes up, I don't know. You can know. You will know. And you can share that with some character from story. You can choose character. May first suggest, I want to speak with mother about my situation, or I want to speak with the domachi about my situation, and then you will choose with whom. And somebody here who feels like domachi can speak with you about that situation or problem. Do you understand now?
You don't have to, you share what you want. You don't have to
Yes.
go, really revealing your problem. You just
No.
generally tell what you would like to hear from the character, and some of us, if they're called to, will try to answer and we'll try to talk with you. And we will
Okay.
see what happens,
Characters we can address are the son, and the snake wife, and the mother. Those are the three characters.
And Stribor
Who is that?
Stribor was a god of the forest.
Oh,
I forgot to mention his name. Oh, sorry. Okay. And what we love is those little men who help the mother, Domachi. So they're also interesting characters. You can speak with Ivana, the author. You could choose her. So we give you like 5 minutes for you to reflect, and we will be back then.
very good.
Okay. Enjoy the process, as Elizabeta would say.
And what I'll do is I'll pause the recording now.
Okay.
Eric wants to speak with son, mother, or wife. And then Elizabeta suggested maybe, Eric, if you want, maybe you could, for example, try to speak with Ivana and
Who is
Ansok.
Ivana? Which one? Is she the mother or the wife?
No, she's the author of the story.
Oh,
No,
I'm not.
Eric wanna talk with the son and the mother and the
And the snake wife.
Yes,
snake wife.
I understand that, but what I understood from you, Elizabeth, that he can even speak with the author if he wants.
I'm not ready to speak to the author yet.
No, not
Okay.
yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
not yet. Okay, so we will need a volunteer to be a son or a mother or a snake wife.
Okay, me, mother.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, so I'm the son. So, mother, I want to apologize to you that I brought a woman into the house as my wife, and she kind of pushed you around, and I didn't protect you. I apologize for that. But then I want to congratulate you that you went into nature and you appealed to the forces of nature, and they supported you. So I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you, son. I don't, I'm okay with my own trouble and what you mistreated me, but my
Well,
concern is, uh, your life is in danger with the woman. Although I could live my another happy life, become young again, but that's not what I wanted. I really want your safety and happiness. That's my wish, son.
Well, thank you, but to clarify, I didn't mistreat you, but I was neglectful when my wife mistreated you. So I apologize about that.
No problem. I already forgave you.
Can I add something? Is this sentence what Ansu Kim told just right now? That was sentence what mother in this story said to his son at the end.
Yes.
You are so connected. You are in the spirit of the story. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Sukim, how you feel right now? Do you need to hug your son, or what do you want right now? What you
I
if
really want to hug my son and pat his big back, and I feel like relieved because I know as mother's instinct, my son's life with the snake girl will be really in danger. So finally, my son get back his real sense and we are together. Not because I am obsessed to my son, but I knew as an old woman, my instinct, my son's good life with really good woman. That's my feeling. So I felt so relieved and I hugged my son and I tears just, oh, son, nothing. We already overcame, so no problem. I have no bad feelings. What you just mistreated me like that.
how can you connect that with your everyday life?
Yes, I
Is
have
it
only one son, and
oh
he is going to marry sooner or later. So not yet. And she has a girlfriend. But actually, I am opposite attitude with this story because I feel like as a modern time woman, mother, I should not interfere my son's girlfriend because I don't like her, you know? Although I don't like her, if he really likes her and he thinks she's good woman to him, I have to keep my feeling down and accept what my son really wants. That's
but
my resolution.
uh-huh but Sukim, can you imagine what will happen if you put yourself in that situation? Maybe.
Oh, I will do the same like this mother. I will. Because all mothers, Indian mother, Korean mother, although we are very bossy to our sons, but still we think what is the best for our son. And we don't want being young, enchanted, and happy and forget about my son's trouble. We rather choose to help my son get a good life, to sacrifice my own old happiness. That's that's what we think, but I don't know really what I will do.
Thank you.
Okay, so now can I talk to the snake wife?
Who will be snake wife?
I can be.
And should I speak as the son or just as an outside person?
What you want?
Well, I'll speak as an outside person. Okay, the snake wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel it really wasn't a very good match, you and that boy, because you are too powerful. You are a strong, fierce force of nature, and he was just a weak human, and the mother was just a human. You were too much for that family. So you know, so naturally it didn't work out.
True, but the thing is that when one is drowning and one wants freedom, one will grasp at anything, even a straw. So the weak humanlings were all that I had, and this was my only way out.
Well, I hope you're in a good place now.
I
The
thought she was a really snake woman. Oh, great.
inside a hole, inside the earth, it's warm and nice and dark enough for me. I'm tunneling my way inside, and I am free in one way or another.
Wow. Such a powerful, um, such a powerful freedom wishes from freedom. Such a powerful.
Thank you.
Do you have enough freedom in your life, everyday life?
I do. I actually do. I'm very grateful for it too.
But do you have your ancestors? Does they have that problem? Do you connected with that team?
Well, several women in India, not just my ancestors, but even in the current generation as well as the past, do not have and are not privileged to have that sort of freedom to do what they wish, when they wish to do it, or how they wish to do it. So definitely at several levels of that story may not necessarily be the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law framework, but I think all women all over the world probably, majority I would say, not all, but majority of the women probably face hardship in or struggle to attain freedom.
Yes. I'm so happy that
I am currently on leash though, as you can see. Let me see if I can switch my camera here. Let's see.
Yes, Kirat, you're saying something, but you've been on mute all the way. So we really can't.
I'm leashed to my dog right now. So in that manner, not free.
That's not free.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
Yes,
Tanya,
Kirat, can't hear you. You've been saying something.
yeah, the audio is difficult.
Your audio is. Maybe you switch off your video and then talk. Maybe the connection might improve.
Tanya in Bulgaria has written in the chat section that her idea was that the snake wife was in trouble or is in trouble. She needs to be released from her spell. Does that make sense?
Does anyone?
Yes. I really felt sorry for the snake woman, actually. Before I told as a mother, but I half of my heart with the snake woman. I felt so sorry for her spell and maybe her love for the man, although very wrong way, but she really wants to be something else, transformation, and being free from her own spell. So, yes, I felt something from her.
Mhm. And to Kim, how can you help to her? Do you have any suggestion?
Maybe not with this man
Mhm.
or the mother who interrupt their relationship. As her part, mother is really interrupter. So she couldn't make herself perfectly with them. So with her side, mother was a kind of enemy. How can she transform mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship, not enemy, but helper? That's her strategy to maybe to live with this man, but if not, she has to leave.
Okay. Does it mean that love has many faces? Hmm? Yes. And how can we know which one we can choose or use? Hmm? How can we know
Some
what
love
is
is
good?
some love is need based, I think. Some love is you can't help it, right? And some love can be very calculated also. So I'm not sure what you can determine is good or bad, but love that doesn't hurt anybody is probably fine, good.
I think if
Yes.
love is calculated, it may not be under the word love. It is your, yeah. But if it is selfless love, I mean, this story can be very universal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's a family story as I look at it. And most families will be going through similar or some variations of this story. So it really connects to everybody all over the universe and all families, because there are three main characters, the mother, the son, and the wife. And when there is a family, this the triangle, and whenever it's a triangle, even if it is with friends, just your school friends, even if it's a triangle, there's always a unidirectional connection. It can't, it's generally not all three at the same time. Well, it can be also, but for shorter moments or things like that. But it's more unilateral because it's a straight line in any triangle, and when there are points, then you have to join those points. It's a straight line. So the son wife relation is there, the mother son relation is there, the mother and daughter in law relation also has to happen. So I think it's just the time and the situations and the possibilities of life that are shown here, and unless you have the sprinkling dust of the domachi in some form of or the other, whether it's the kind neighbors or the kindness or the wisdom of the of people, or in any form, that is when things can or may resolve. Thank you.
Yes, Rina, do you have some magical friends who can help you in moments?
Yes, many a times I have seen this in my own life, and everybody's life brings challenges to them. My
Can
life
you
is
share
also.
with us some
Uh,
little?
so yes, I had a very, if I may say, a very powerful mother-in-law. She was very determined, and she was very She was a nice lady. In fact, when she was much older and I began to understand her, I would say I got pearls of wisdom from her. Just one sentence lines. And I could see that I'm being transformed from a young bride to a much older woman. And that happened, I mean, initially when I got married, it was like cross-cultural. So there were many things to adjust to. And I was a young girl, so I wanted my way, she wanted her way. So there were always differences. And magical dust then happened as to I would say some friends around me who sort of not gave me advice, but who listened. I had a listening shoulder, where you outpour, but then you deal with the things yourself. But much later in life, when me, my husband, the children were leaving the home literally and going to another country, there were tears in my eyes. I didn't want to leave my mother-in-law behind, and I just looked back, and my tears are welling up now. And she said, "Don't look back. When the little birds get their feathers and are ready to fly, the mother pushes them out and says, 'Fly. Don't look back.'" And I thought, wow, I had so many differences with this lady, and today she's like helping me, consoling me, and telling me to walk my life. I think there were many other instances like that where he really gave pearls of wisdom. And yeah, as the hair becomes gray, you begin to appreciate the wisdom of the older people. Well, life goes on. The children, do they listen to you? No.
How about the sun? Let's talk about the sun.
Veena, thank you. Do you have a son? Veena.
Pardon? The son? Well, it could be the daughter. Ansuk, I know you too well. Nice to hear your story too.
No. In
I
this
travel
story,
a lot, and I travel to visit my daughters. It's the same generation. It's like universal, whether you are in Italy or whether you are in Chennai or whether you are in Slovakia or Croatia. You deal with the next generation, and there are bound to be generational differences. So how you adapt yourself to, and if you're sandwiched in between the older generation and the whoa boy, you have it. You need a lot of inner stamina and strength, and I would say for me the fairy dust now is the scriptural readings that I do. There is so much power and there is so much knowledge written by our ancient people. Why do we bother to look at life? We never want to read it, right? So yeah, that's the fairy dust for me. Understanding life by reading our ancient scriptures, which is called the Bhagavad Gita. It is a song by Lord Krishna, and he is explaining everything about life. If only you have time to listen. And I have it now. So that's the fairy dust for me.
Thank you.
Well, to me, the boy in the story is a kind of a weak character because he, he's in the middle. His wife is pulling him one way, his mother is pulling him the other way. And in real life, what I hear, I also work as a counselor. I hear from young women that their husbands are dominated by their mothers. And, it's very common in India that when the new wife gets pregnant and has a baby, if she's not getting along with her mother-in-law, she'll take her baby and go back to her own mother's house to raise the baby there, at least in the beginning. And then there's the drama. Will the wife go back to the husband, or will the husband come and get the wife? What will happen? Because generally what I see is, we hear about the patriarchy, but what I see is that the young men are very controlled by their mothers.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is a challenge to recognize where is the problem, recognize dynamic of these relationships, and living in a community that is art of living, be in good relationships in that beautiful triangle, like Vina said.
See, the woman, she didn't marry her husband's mother, she married her husband. But it ends up she also married her husband's mother.
Yes, in package.
Yes.
There is a mother.
How about we think the boy at first not mature enough to get along with the wife and the mother, so they were so self-centered, and the snake woman also not matured enough social skill with the mother-in-law, so they both had real conflict and almost like a split, and the snake woman left, and under the earth, she all enchanted disappeared like that, and the mother come back. But I think the son now through this maybe growing enough with this old trouble, and I hope the snake girl finally under the earth maybe sometime mature enough and get back and become really good husband and wife and handle mother-in-law well. I know.
Thank you. That will be beautiful. And Marijana, do you want to add something?
Not really. I'm just enjoying this, what you're sharing, and it's really beautiful how these stories, old stories written in different languages, when we share them, there is some universal wisdom in them that we can take and we can relate. And, maybe it can give us a different perspective. Sometimes we think, oh, everything is bad, but then you hear some other perspective and said, okay, I have to reflect to my life and not be self-centered and maybe change something. And just, as Vina said, sometimes from when I was young, a teenage, I had a great grandmother, but at that point I thought, oh, she doesn't know everything. Now I said, oh, maybe I should, invite her to come here and talk to me. And she had so much wisdom, so that's, sometimes it's difficult to accept mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. It's not, it's kind of what the patriarchal society, in my opinion, is teaching us, that there is always power. And I seems the women were so much in a trouble through the centuries, and now if they can have a chance to have a power, and if they are mothers or wives, sometimes they tend to take that power. That's in my opinion. It might not be true, but that's in my opinion. And I think, Eric, that we came to the end of this session, and you are muted.
One element of folklore that I recognize in this story is when the mother goes out to nature and appeals to nature and is helped by the brownies and the figure. There are many stories like that in India, where both women and men go out to nature and appeal to nature for help, and they often get that help. So I think that's a archetypal. That's a very global element of folklore.
there are some connections with the Slavic people, really, really old with India as well. So maybe this is the roots, that we carried. So that could be the reason why. But generally, all these old stories are archetypal and they connect us. We find something that is close to us and that speaks to us. So I think that's the beauty, and I think most of us loves the stories.
Great. Well, it's been a wonderful workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And I want to add something for the end. You can, or of course, if you want to, and you can cherish that feelings who came in this workshop, and you can cherish body today through all day and maybe through all night, and see for yourself what comes up. Maybe some part of you wanna need cherish, because this is family story. Maybe some parts of us need cherished. Please take for consideration that my suggestion, if you want to, of course.
Thank
And
you.
enjoy the process.
Strada?
Thank you. It was really wonderful, and I am very fond of different languages, and I love the way you spoke, and it told us in your own language.
Yes, it's an inspiration to learn Croatian language just to understand your story.
I didn't
That's
understand a
wonderful.
word of it, but
The most beautiful and intelligent Croatian women I met tonight. I will
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Anastasia.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay,
I
Strada,
have a quick,
Strada
yeah, a
and Dina, and then we really have to close the session. Go ahead.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
quick question. Where can we find Ivana's stories, a resource, in English?
I think
Marijana, please.
if you, I think I found it somewhere. There was in the public, and if you write down the Croatian tales of long ago,
Mm-hmm.
I think it should pop up.
Okay.
Yes. If you cannot find it, I think under the program of the festival, you have our contact email, so you can write to
Great.
us, and we will help you with that.
Thank you so much.
You
This was so much fun.
Can you
On
hear me
the-
now? Anybody?
On the timings webpage, everyone's email is there, or just email to me and I'll communicate email IDs.
Okay. Yes.
Um,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you, everyone.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I've left the link over here for the stories.
Mhm.
It's available
Thank
on
you.
Gutenberg. It's a PDF
Mhm.
file.
Very good.